It's John here, and I have a bit of a thought exercise for you today. And I'm going to sound crazy at times, but I want you to stick with me and I want you to genuinely consider what I'm going to drop on you today. And the question I have for you is, why do rich people love poker? If you watch poker tournaments on YouTube, and I don't find myself watching them often, but when I do, you always have tech entrepreneurs, you have athletes, you have movie stars, you have people that are famous, that are successful, that are rich. The normie is going to see that and say, well, rich people like poker because they like to gamble and they have money to lose, and that's why they do it. I think that's a very normie way of thinking. And if you're watching my videos, then you're not a normie. So I don't want you to think that way. I want you to approach it from a different angle and a different mindset. But before we do that, I want to talk about how questioning everything is a really, really good way to become successful. Now, what I mean by that is when you're a kid, you question everything. Mom tells you you should eat your vegetables. You ask her why. Mom tells you you need to put on your seatbelt. You ask her why. You can't run around outside barefoot. You ask mom why. And at some point, probably when you start going to school, you lose this. You become an order taker. We live in a world where we're kind of groomed our entire lives to be order takers. And then people wonder, well, why does everybody just blindly comply? Well, it's because that's how we're trained. When you're in school, sit in your desk, shut your mouth. Okay. You don't ask, well, why do I need to sit at my desk? Why do I need to shut my mouth? Because you know that if you do, you're going to get in trouble. And then you create this pattern for 10, 12, 16, 20 years, however long you go to school. And then you come out on the other side and you're just a normie and you do what everyone tells you to do and you don't question anything. And then let's go the conspiracy route for a second. You get locked in your house, you're told you can't go outside, and you blindly comply. The people that win in life ask a lot of questions. Henry Ford, for instance. Hey, everyone rides a horse. Why? Is that the best method of transportation? No. And then Henry Ford created the car. He was one of the most powerful people on the planet because he asked the question, why? Thomas Edison, that's all he did throughout his entire life was ask why. He's one of the most notable figures ever. Elon Musk. Jeff Bezos asked, well, why do you need to go in a bookstore and buy books? And he decided, hey, we can put books online. People can buy books from the comfort of their own home. So today is a thought exercise. Today I'm going to probably sound a little crazy, but I want you to start asking why? Why do I need to get a 9-to-5 job? Why do I need to go to college? Why should I do this? You should even be watching this video right now and saying, John, why should I listen to you? It is a good way of thinking. The more you ask why, the more you become creative, the more you think outside the box. And in order to be successful, newsflash, you have to be creative and you have to think outside the box. So that's the point of the video today. It's not to talk about why rich people love poker, which we will talk about that, but it's more so to ask why and to try to decipher things and understand why things happen. Because successful people typically have a viewpoint of the world that they have thought through, and they study situations, they study environments, they study people, and they ask, well, why did they do that? And that's how you become successful. The most unsuccessful people are normally the most oblivious, right? Well, this happened and it just happened because of a coincidence, and this happened for this reason, whatever. They don't go deep. And that's probably why they never succeed in life. So the question that I have for you today, why do rich people love poker? My thesis on why rich people love poker, and obviously, you can fact check me on this. Rich people like to play poker. It's not because they need more money, probably not because they're degenerate gambling addicts, although some definitely are. I think it's because poker is very similar to life. Now, if you watch poker be played, one person can get one hand and play it in a completely different way than another person would play the hand. So what do I mean by this? Let me give you a real world analogy or a real world example. You take two kids that were born into successful families. Maybe you are thinking of someone in your life now. Let's say you have Tim and you have Josh. Tim was raised by a successful family. His dad was a multimillionaire, entrepreneur, business owner. And Tim grew up to be even more successful than his dad because he studied his dad. He saw what his dad did. He was dealt that hand of being raised to a successful family. You probably know someone like this. Great example of this, the 45th president of the United States. I won't say his name because I'll probably get booted off YouTube, which I'm sure at some point we will anyway. But the 45th president of the United States, his father was very successful. He watched what his father did, and then he went and really outdid his father, became a multi-billionaire. I don't know if his dad was ever a billionaire. Very wealthy, of course. This individual, he who shall not be named, was much more successful than his father. Josh, on the other hand, was born to that same hand as the other person who went on to do really well. Josh had the same hand. Josh went on to be a complete burnout and loser. Okay, you see this all the time. You see these super successful people, they have kids, their kids end up being losers, they get hooked on drugs, they go to jail, they have a terrible life, they never go on to do anything else. They were dealt the same hand, but they played the hand in a completely different way, just like you would in poker. Now, another thought experiment. You have two people. both being born to really impoverished families where maybe they had really critical conditions. Maybe the family dynamic wasn't all the way there. One person grows up to be even more of a loser than their parents were. The other person says, no, I don't accept this standard. I'm going to be the first one to change. I'm going to be the one to kind of recreate my legacy and rewrite my family story. Many people on the Forbes list right now grew up in terrible times. And there's a bunch of people out there on earth right now that grew up in terrible times, but a few of those people are on the Forbes list. Why? Well, they played the hand in a different way, just like you would in poker. So the game of poker is very similar to the game of life. You are dealt a hand, and it's about how you play that hand. Now, if we were playing poker and you got dealt a hand, would you sit there and say, this is the worst hand ever, I'm going to give up, reshuffle the deck, redeal the hand? No. You're forced to play the hand. So what I'm telling you right now is in your life, you have been dealt a hand. You might be watching this and you were dealt a very good hand. Realistically, if you're alive, if you're breathing, you were dealt a good hand. But let's say that you have extenuating circumstances. Let's say that, maybe you're in a position where you were dealt a pretty crappy hand. There's two ways you can go about it. You can go and complain about your hand and how bad it was and how woe is me and my life is awful and I'm never going to change my situation. Or you could play your hand in a different way and be the person that rewrites the story. Be the person that bounces back. Be the person who looks at the hand and says, this is the hand that I got. I'm not going to complain myself out of it. That's another really important thing to keep in mind, is like complaining about your situation changes nothing. Just like complaining about your hand in poker would not change your hand. You play the hand the way it's been dealt. So I think this is the thing about poker. I also think there's other things. We could rant on this forever, but I think there's other things as well. When you have a bad hand, sometimes you have to bluff. You're going through hard times in life. Sometimes you have to be stoic about those hard times. Sometimes you're maybe in a situation where your business isn't going that well and you still have to put on face in front of your team and keep on chugging. You have to bluff your way through the hand until you maybe get dealt a better hand. And the thing about life is you're dealt many hands. You're given scenarios throughout your life that you have to deal with. What your life is now is basically just a summary of how you've dealt with the hands that you've been given. That's what your life is. You were faced with a scenario, you made a decision, maybe the right decision, maybe the wrong decision. Later on, you're dealt another scenario. And it's all about how you deal with the cards that you've been dealt, just like in the game of poker. So my question to you from this long, extenuating thought exercise, and really all this is a thought exercise, is what is the hand that you've been dealt? And how are you going to play it to the best of your abilities? Because unlike the game of poker, if you play one hand well, you get another hand. You can play that hand even better and the hands start to compound. That's the beauty about life. That's where life and poker are very similar. In poker, you could get a good hand, play it well, and then get a good hand and play it poorly, or a bad hand and play it well. Whereas in life, your hands tend to get better as you make better decisions. As you level up in business, you now have a better hand. You now have investment opportunities. You now can hire team members. You can level up. You can make the hands better and better and better and better. That's why good decisions typically stack. One good decision will present you with another good decision, so on and so forth. The same with bad decisions. One bad decision you make could turn you into another bad decision, and another one, and another one, and another one. So this is how life and poker are very similar. And this is why I believe that rich people love poker. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Hope this wasn't too esoteric for you. Hope it helped. Let me know what you think in the comments. Talk to you soon.